The stars looked different today from Europa Station's observation deck. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the reinforced window, watching ships he had never seen before moving through space like silver needles against the black. 3 days ago, the long-range sensors had picked up the massive fleet entering the outer system. 3 days of waiting and wondering what these visitors wanted from humanity. Jake touched his communication device and spoke into it. "Control room, this is Morrison. Any word from the approaching vessels?" The response came back quickly from Lieutenant Amy Foster, who was monitoring all channels. "Still nothing, Captain. They maintain radio silence, but their trajectory shows they are heading directly for us." The ships were unlike anything in human design. They moved with perfect formation and seemed to bend light around their hulls in strange ways. Each vessel was at least twice the size of the largest human cruiser, and there were dozens of them. Jake had been a military officer for 15 years, and his instincts told him something was wrong about this whole situation. Dr. Amanda Cole joined Jake at the window carrying a steaming cup of coffee. Amanda was the station's chief scientist and one of the smartest people Jake had ever met. She studied the approaching fleet through her thick glasses before speaking. "The energy readings we are getting from those ships are incredible, Jake. Their power output is at least 10 times what our best reactors can produce." Jake nodded slowly while watching the ships grow larger against the starfield. "That could be good news or very bad news depending on their intentions." Amanda sipped her coffee and frowned. "I have been trying to match their ship designs against every known species in our databases. There are no records of anything like these vessels." Europa Station was home to nearly 8,000 colonists who had come from Earth to build a new life among Jupiter's moons. The station served as both a research facility and a stepping stone for further expansion into the outer system. Most of the residents were scientists, engineers, and their families who worked to unlock the secrets of the gas giant's many moons. Lisa Parker was one of those engineers working deep in the station's lower levels, where she helped maintain the fusion reactors that powered their small world. Lisa had grown up on Mars Colony and knew what it meant to live on the edge of human space. When word spread through the station about the approaching alien ships, Lisa felt both excitement and fear in equal measure. The first direct contact came at exactly 1400 hours station time. Jake was in the command center when every screen in the room suddenly displayed the same image. A tall figure appeared before them, unlike any creature they had ever imagined. The being stood nearly 8 feet tall with gray-green scales covering its entire body. Its head was elongated with large yellow eyes that seemed to look directly through the camera when the creature spoke. Its voice was deep and carried strange harmonics that made everyone listening feel uncomfortable. "Humans of this station, I am War Commander Thexral of the Zephyrian Empire. We have traveled far to meet your species and learn of your ways." Jake stepped forward and activated the communication system. "Welcome to Europa Station, Commander Thexral. I am Captain Jake Morrison representing the human colonists here. We are honored by your visit and hope we can establish peaceful relations between our peoples." The alien's expression never changed as it continued speaking. "We wish to send representatives to your station to engage in cultural exchange. Prepare a docking bay for our shuttle and gather your leaders for a meeting." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Jake and his staff looking at each other with uncertainty. Dr. Cole was the first to speak. "Cultural exchange sounds promising, but something about that commander made my skin crawl." Jake agreed, but knew they had little choice in the matter. "We have to try diplomacy first. Alert all department heads and prepare the main conference room for our guests." 2 hours later, a sleek alien shuttle docked with Europa Station. Security cameras showed 6 Zephyrian soldiers emerging from the craft wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor decorated with strange symbols. They moved with predatory grace and carried weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. War Commander Thexral led the group through the station's corridors while Jake and other human officials provided a guided tour. The aliens asked many questions about human population distribution, defensive capabilities, and particularly about the ratio of males to females among the colonists. Jake found their interest in gender demographics strange, but answered honestly. The formal meeting took place in the station's largest conference room, where 30 human representatives gathered to meet with their alien visitors. Dr. Cole presented an overview of human scientific achievements while Jake discussed their peaceful expansion into space. The Zephyrians listened carefully but asked few questions during the presentations. When the formal proceedings ended, Commander Thexroll suggested they celebrate their first contact with a traditional Zephyrian feast. The aliens had brought food and drink from their ship, which they claimed would help both species understand each other better. Jake was hesitant but agreed when Dr. Cole pointed out the scientific value of such cultural exchange. The feast was held in the station's main dining hall, where over 200 colonists gathered to meet the aliens. Children pressed against the windows to get a look at the strange visitors while their parents tried to appear welcoming. Lisa Parker attended the dinner, hoping to learn about alien technology that might help improve their reactor systems. Everything changed in an instant when Commander Thexroll stood to make what everyone assumed would be a toast. Instead of raising his glass, the alien leader activated a device on his armor that sent a piercing signal throughout the station. Immediately, every Zephyrian soldier drew their weapons and the dining hall erupted into chaos. The aliens moved with terrifying efficiency, targeting human women and children first while their energy weapons cut through anything in their path. Jake reached for his sidearm, but a blast of alien energy sent him crashing into the wall with severe burns across his chest. Dr. Cole screamed as two Zephyrian soldiers grabbed her and began dragging her toward the exit. Lisa Parker was near the rear of the dining hall when the attack began and managed to crawl under an overturned table as panic spread through the room. She watched in horror as the aliens systematically captured every woman and child they could reach while killing any man who tried to resist. The weapons fire lasted only minutes but felt like hours to those hiding in terror. When the shooting stopped, Commander Thexroll spoke again with cold satisfaction in his voice. Human males are weak and unworthy of respect. Your females will serve as prizes for our warriors, and your children will be raised to serve the Empire properly. Jake struggled to his feet despite his injuries and activated the emergency communication system. All stations, this is Europa Station. We are under attack by alien forces. They are capturing our women and children. Send warning to Earth immediately. His transmission was cut short when a Zephyrian weapon blast destroyed the communication console. Lisa knew she had to escape and warn others about what the aliens really wanted. She crawled through maintenance tunnels toward the emergency pod bays while explosions shook the station around her. Behind her, she could hear the aliens herding their captives toward the docking areas where their ships waited. The last thing Lisa saw before launching her escape pod was Commander Thexroll standing in the station's main corridor surrounded by captured humans. His yellow eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he watched his soldiers load their prizes onto Zephyrian shuttles. Europa Station, humanity's proud outpost among the outer planets, had fallen in less than an hour to creatures who saw humans as nothing more than animals to be harvested. Lisa Parker's escape pod tumbled through space for 18 hours before the automated systems locked onto Earth's emergency beacon network. Her small craft was barely larger than a closet and contained enough air and water for 3 days at most. Every few minutes she tried the communication system, hoping someone would hear her desperate warnings about the aliens. When the rescue ship finally found her drifting near Mars orbit, Lisa was barely conscious from oxygen deprivation. The crew of the cargo hauler Midnight Express pulled her aboard and immediately transmitted her story to Earth Defense Command. Captain Tony Kumar of the rescue vessel listened with growing horror as Lisa described the systematic capture of women and children from Europa Station within 6 hours of Lisa's rescue. Every news network on Earth was broadcasting the story of humanity's first contact with an alien species. The footage from Europa Station's security cameras showed the brutal efficiency of the Zephyrian attack and the cold calculation behind their selection of prisoners. President Maria Santos called an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. As panic began spreading through major population centers, Admiral Christine Hayes stood before the assembled leaders in the underground command bunker beneath Colorado Springs. Christine had served in Earth's small space navy for 20 years and knew better than anyone how unprepared humanity was for this kind of threat. The holographic display behind her showed the positions of known Zephyrian ships as they advanced steadily toward the inner solar system. Based on long-range sensors, we estimate their fleet consists of 40 to 50 vessels, each roughly the size of our largest battleships, Christine explained to the grim faces around the conference table. Their technology appears to be centuries ahead of ours in every measurable category, including weapons, shields, and propulsion systems. President Santos leaned forward in her chair with worry lines creasing her face. What are our options, Admiral? Can our fleet engage them before they reach Earth? Christine shook her head slowly. Our entire space navy consists of 12 ships, and most of those are exploratory vessels with minimal armament. A direct confrontation would result in our complete destruction within minutes. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. General Robert Clark of the Global Defense Forces was the first to speak. What about ground defenses? If they attempt a landing, we have missile systems and orbital platforms that might slow them down. Admiral Hayes brought up tactical projections on the main screen. Their energy shields deflected every weapon Europa Station fired at them, including nuclear warheads. Conventional military resistance appears futile. Dr. Lisa Parker sat in the corner of the room, still wearing borrowed clothes from her rescue ship. She had been invited to provide first-hand intelligence about Zephyrian capabilities and intentions. When President Santos asked for her assessment, Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper. They talked about our women like they were collecting rare animals. They seemed genuinely surprised that human males would try to fight back to protect their families. The discussion continued for hours as military leaders tried to find some advantage humanity might possess against the alien invaders. Every scenario they examined ended with Earth's defeat and the enslavement of its population. As the meeting was about to adjourn in despair, a young aide entered the room and handed Admiral Hayes a communication tablet. "Ma'am, we just received a priority message from the Montana National Guard. They have someone they think you need to meet immediately." The aide's excitement was barely contained as he continued speaking. "It's about the alien invasion and a possible solution nobody has considered yet." 2,000 miles away in the mountains of Montana, Staff Sergeant Ryan Brooks was tracking a wounded elk through deep snow when his satellite phone rang. Ryan had left the military 3 years earlier after completing 2 tours as a Marine sniper instructor. These days he made his living as a hunting guide for wealthy clients who wanted to experience the challenge of big game hunting in the American wilderness. The caller was Colonel Steve Murphy from the Montana National Guard, who had served with Ryan during his military career. Steve's voice was tense as he explained the situation. "Ryan, we need you back in uniform immediately. Earth is facing an alien invasion and conventional weapons are useless against their technology." Ryan stopped walking and leaned against a snow-covered pine tree. "Steve, I appreciate the call, but what can one retired sniper do against aliens with spaceships?" The colonel's response surprised him. "We think you and people like you might be our only hope. These aliens are landing ground troops to capture people. That means they have to come within range of small arms fire." After Steve explained the situation in detail, Ryan agreed to meet with military representatives at the nearest base. He had seen the news reports about Europa Station, but like most people assumed it was a problem for space forces to handle. The idea that ground combat might determine humanity's survival had never occurred to him. The Zephyrian advance continued methodically as their fleet established forward bases on Titan and several of Jupiter's outer moons. Intelligence reports from the few survivors who managed to escape in small craft painted a disturbing picture of alien intentions. The Zephyrians were not interested in negotiation or coexistence. They viewed humans as a resource to be harvested and processed. Dr. Amanda Cole found herself in a holding facility on Titan, along with nearly 300 other women and children taken from Europa Station. The Zephyrians had separated males and females immediately after capture, and Amanda had watched helplessly as the men were marched away to an unknown fate. The alien guards treated their prisoners like valuable livestock, providing adequate food and medical care while maintaining strict control. Amanda used her scientific training to observe everything about their captors, hoping to find some weakness that might help in an escape attempt. The Zephyrians wore environmental suits whenever they were around humans, suggesting they found Earth's atmosphere uncomfortable or even harmful. Their weapons appeared to be energy-based but required some kind of power cell that glowed blue when fully charged. Back on Earth, Ryan Brooks arrived at Peterson Space Force Base where Admiral Hayes was waiting to brief him personally. The meeting took place in a secure conference room where Ryan learned the full scope of the alien threat. When Hayes explained that conventional weapons had failed completely against Zephyrian defenses, Ryan asked the obvious question: "What makes you think sniper rifles will work any better than missiles and artillery?" Admiral Hayes activated a holographic display showing combat footage from the Europa station. "Look carefully at the timing of their shield activations. There appears to be a brief gap between shots when the energy field recharges." Ryan studied the footage with professional interest, noting the aliens' movement patterns and tactical formations. Their armor looks heavy, which means they probably move slowly. If we can find the right ammunition and get within effective range, there might be opportunities for precision shots during those shield gaps. The Admiral leaned forward with hope in her eyes. For the first time since the crisis began, we need someone who can train others quickly and effectively. The entire planet is about to become a battlefield, and we need every advantage we can get. Ryan looked at the tactical displays showing the advancing alien fleet and made his decision. I'll need access to the best equipment available and authority to recruit marksmen from civilian populations. If we're going to fight aliens with hunting rifles, we need people who can make impossible shots under extreme pressure. Admiral Hayes smiled grimly and extended her hand. "Welcome back to active duty, Sergeant Brooks. You now have unlimited resources and complete authority to build whatever force you think can stop these creatures." Within hours of the meeting, recruitment teams were contacting every military and police sniper in North America, while weapons manufacturers received priority orders for their most powerful rifles. The Zephyrian fleet was still weeks away from Earth, but there was no time to waste in preparing humanity's last desperate gambit for survival. The first Zephyrian dropships screamed through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars, their alien hulls glowing red-hot from atmospheric entry. Ryan Brooks watched from his position on a mountain ridge outside Denver as dozens of the massive craft descended toward the city below. Each ship was the size of a football stadium and moved with unnatural grace. Despite their enormous bulk, the orbital bombardment had begun 3 hours earlier when the main Zephyrian fleet reached Earth's outer atmosphere. Military installations around the world disappeared in brilliant flashes of energy as alien weapons targeted anything that might pose a threat to their invasion force. The Pentagon, NORAD, and major naval bases were reduced to smoking craters within minutes of the attack beginning. Ryan adjusted his modified Barrett rifle and checked the experimental ammunition that weapons engineer Peter Martinez had developed during the past 2 weeks. The tungsten core bullets were designed to penetrate energy shields during their brief recharge cycles, while electromagnetic enhancers would hopefully disrupt alien electronics. Nobody knew if the modifications would work, but conventional weapons had already proven useless. Kate Wilson lay prone beside Ryan with her own sniper rifle trained on the landing zone below. Kate had been a Navy SEAL for 8 years before becoming a civilian marksmanship instructor, and her steady hands never trembled even in the most stressful situations. Danny Rodriguez completed their 3-person team from his position on the opposite ridge, where he could provide covering fire if needed. The first dropship touched down in Civic Center Park, crushing trees and benches under its massive landing struts. Ryan watched through his scope as a ramp lowered from the ship's belly and Zephyrian soldiers began emerging in perfect formation. The aliens moved like predators scanning for threats, while their energy shields shimmered around their bodies like heat mirages. Range is 1,800 meters, Kate whispered into her communication device. Wind speed 3 knots from the southeast. I count 20 hostiles moving toward the evacuation center. Ryan adjusted his scope for the distance and atmospheric conditions while tracking the alien commander who seemed to be directing the operation. The Zephyrians advanced on the emergency shelter where nearly 500 civilians had gathered, hoping for protection from the invasion. Most were women and children who had fled their homes when the bombing started. Ryan could see the terror on their faces through his magnified scope as the aliens approached with weapons ready. "Wait for my signal," Ryan said quietly into his microphone. "We need to confirm the shield timing before we engage." The team had studied every piece of combat footage from Europa Station looking for patterns in Zephyrian defensive systems. The shields appeared to recharge for exactly 2 seconds after deflecting an energy blast, but nobody knew if the same timing applied to physical projectiles. War Commander Thexrol himself led the advance on the evacuation center. The 8-foot tall alien moved with arrogant confidence as his soldiers herded terrified humans into groups for processing. Through his scope, Ryan could see the cruel satisfaction in the creature's yellow eyes as it selected which prisoners would be taken. Liva. Young mother clutched her daughter close to her chest while Zephyrian soldiers approached their hiding spot behind an overturned car. The alien nearest to them raised its weapon and fired a stunning blast that dropped the woman unconscious. As the soldier reached down to grab the crying child, Ryan made his decision. "Taking the shot," he whispered and squeezed the trigger. The modified bullet crossed 1,800 meters in less than 2 seconds and struck the Zephyrian soldier. Center mass. Instead of bouncing off an energy shield, the tungsten core punched through alien armor and dropped the creature instantly. The effect on the remaining Zephyrians was immediate and shocking. They had never faced an enemy capable of penetrating their defenses, and the sudden death of their comrades sent them scrambling for cover. War Commander Thexrol roared orders in his alien language while scanning the surrounding hills for the source of the attack. Kate Wilson confirmed the vulnerability by putting her next shot through another Zephyrian's helmet at nearly 2,000 meters. The alien's head exploded in a spray of gray blood that splattered across the park's concrete paths. 2 more soldiers fell to Danny Rodriguez's rifle fire from the opposite ridge before the surviving aliens managed to reach adequate cover. "Confirmed kills on 4 hostiles," Danny reported over the radio. "The tungsten rounds are punching right through their shields like they don't exist." Ryan felt a surge of hope for the first time since the invasion began. Humanity finally had a weapon that could hurt their alien oppressors. The Zephyrians responded by calling in air support from their circling attack craft. Energy beams began raking the mountainsides where the sniper team was positioned, forcing them to abandon their carefully prepared positions. Ryan and his team used predetermined escape routes to withdraw before the aliens could pinpoint their exact locations. News of the successful engagement spread through resistance networks faster than anyone expected. Amateur radio operators broadcast details of the alien vulnerability to anyone with a receiver, while internet forums exploded with tactical discussions about fighting the invaders. Former military personnel and civilian hunters began organizing into small groups armed with whatever high-powered rifles they could find. Nicole Brown had been an Olympic shooting competitor before the invasion and lived in a cabin outside Colorado Springs with a collection of precision rifles. When she heard Ryan's radio broadcast about tungsten ammunition, Nicole began modifying her own bullets using tools from her home workshop. She knew enough about metallurgy to create effective armor-piercing rounds. Carl Thompson was a retired police sniper living in Texas when the aliens landed. His first encounter with Zephyrian forces came when a patrol threatened his neighbor's family. Using a 30-year-old hunting rifle with hand-loaded ammunition, Carl managed to kill 2 aliens before they could reach the house. The success convinced him that ordinary people could fight back effectively. The Zephyrians quickly realized they faced a new kind of threat and began adapting their tactics accordingly. Instead of advancing openly across terrain, they started using human settlements as shields and positioning their command posts in heavily populated areas. The aliens forced Ryan's growing network of snipers into impossible moral choices between taking shots that might harm civilians and allowing alien commanders to escape. War Commander Thexrel became personally obsessed with eliminating the human marksman who had turned his easy conquest into a deadly struggle. He deployed specialized hunter-killer teams equipped with advanced tracking equipment and personal cloaking devices designed specifically to hunt down sniper positions. The war was no longer a simple harvesting operation, but had become a personal vendetta. The first major counter-attack came in Chicago, where Zephyrian forces had established a processing center in the ruins of Grant Park. Ryan's team joined with local resistance fighters for a coordinated assault aimed at freeing captured humans and gathering intelligence about alien operations. The mission would test whether their sniper tactics could work on a larger scale. As the team moved into position around the alien stronghold, Ryan realized they were no longer just fighting for survival. Every successful shot against the Zephyrians proved that humanity would not submit quietly to slavery and extinction. The aliens had superior technology, but humans possessed something their enemies could never understand: the willingness to sacrifice everything for freedom. The battle for Earth had truly begun, and for the first time since the invasion started, humans were winning individual engagements. Word spread across the planet that the Zephyrians could be killed and their shields could be penetrated. Resistance groups formed in every major city while ordinary people learned to become warriors in humanity's desperate fight for survival. The Zephyrian hunter teams moved through the ruined streets of Chicago like ghosts made of metal and malice. Their new cloaking technology bent light around their bodies, making them nearly invisible to the naked eye, while advanced sensors tracked heat signatures and electromagnetic emissions from human weapons. War Commander Thexrel had personally designed these units to eliminate the sniper threat that was disrupting his conquest of Earth. Ryan Brooks crouched behind the twisted remains of a city bus 3 blocks from Grant Park, where the aliens had established their human processing center. Through his scope, he could see Zephyrian soldiers herding captured civilians into large metal containers that would transport them to the ships waiting in orbit. The sight of children being separated from their parents filled him with cold rage. Kate Wilson's voice crackled through his earpiece from her position on a nearby rooftop. I count 15 visible hostiles around the perimeter, but thermal imaging shows at least 20 more signatures that don't match the background temperature. They have cloaked units moving through the area. Ryan adjusted his rifle and scanned for the nearly invisible enemies that could be anywhere. The Chicago mission had drawn volunteers from across the Midwest, including Nicole Brown, who had driven from Colorado with a trunk full of modified ammunition. Carl Thompson had flown in from Texas, bringing detailed intelligence about Zephyrian patrol patterns he had observed during previous engagements. Local resistance fighters, led by former Army Ranger Danny Rodriguez, provided knowledge of the city's layout and escape routes. Dr. Lisa Parker had also joined the operation, bringing scientific equipment to analyze alien technology and biology. Her research at a hidden laboratory in the Colorado mountains had revealed that Zephyrians required a specific atmospheric mixture to maintain their enhanced physiology for extended periods. Their environmental suits were more than just protection. They were life support systems that could be targeted. The attack began at dawn when Nicole Brown's shot eliminated a Zephyrian guard tower operator from over a mile away. The tungsten round punched through the alien's helmet and caused a spectacular explosion when it struck the creature's oxygen supply. The blast sent debris raining down on the processing center. While alarms began wailing throughout the alien compound, Ryan's team moved in from multiple directions, using the confusion to get closer to the main holding areas where hundreds of humans waited in terror. The Zephyrians responded with typical efficiency, deploying their cloaked hunters to sweep the surrounding blocks for sniper positions. The invisible aliens moved silently through the rubble, using advanced sensors to track their human prey. Danny Rodriguez was the first to encounter the cloaked enemies when his thermal scope detected a heat signature moving against the wind patterns. He fired 3 rapid shots at the anomaly and was rewarded with the sight of a Zephyrian hunter materializing as its cloaking system failed. The alien's death scream alerted every enemy unit in the area to his position. Energy weapons began raking Danny's hiding spot, forcing him to abandon his carefully chosen sniper nest and run for his life through the ruined streets. 2 cloaked Zephyrians pursued him, firing deadly accurate shots that missed by inches as Danny used his knowledge of urban warfare to stay ahead of their targeting systems. The chase led through collapsed buildings and twisted metal that provided temporary cover. Kate Wilson tried to provide support fire but found herself pinned down by alien aerial drones that had been deployed specifically to counter sniper activities. The flying machines used rotating flight patterns to avoid predictable targeting, while their own weapons sought out muzzle flashes and heat signatures from human rifles. Kate was forced to constantly relocate to avoid being eliminated. The situation deteriorated rapidly when more Zephyrian reinforcements arrived from other parts of the city. Ryan realized they had walked into a carefully prepared trap designed to capture or kill the human marksmen who had been causing so much trouble for the invasion force. War Commander Thexrel wanted to make an example of anyone who dared resist Zephyrian superiority. Dr. Lisa Parker watched the battle from a concealed observation post while her instruments analyzed the electromagnetic signatures from alien equipment. She noticed that the cloaking devices produced a distinctive energy pattern that could be detected by modified radar systems. This information might help future resistance operations but would not save the current mission from disaster. The breakthrough came when Carl Thompson managed to target one of the atmospheric processors that supplied breathable air to the Zephyrian command post. His shot ruptured the system, causing a cascade failure that forced dozens of aliens to rely on their emergency oxygen supplies. Within minutes, the affected Zephyrians began moving more slowly and their reaction times decreased noticeably. Ryan seized the opportunity to advance on the main holding area where terrified civilians pressed against the bars of their makeshift prison. A Zephyrian guard turned to fire at him but moved too slowly due to oxygen deprivation. Ryan's shot took the alien center mass, dropping it instantly while the prisoners cheered and reached toward their potential rescuer. The rescue operation lasted only minutes before overwhelming Zephyrian forces made continued resistance impossible. Ryan's team managed to free nearly 200 prisoners, including several families with young children, but were forced to withdraw when enemy aerial support arrived in strength. The humans melted away into the urban ruins using predetermined escape routes. Danny Rodriguez was not among those who made it to the rally point. His radio had gone silent during the pursuit through the collapsed business district, and subsequent searches found only bloodstains and signs of a struggle. The Zephyrians had captured him alive, which meant he would face interrogation and torture, designed to break human resistance morale. War Commander Thexrel personally oversaw Danny's interrogation in a facility beneath Grant Park. The alien commander wanted to understand how humans had developed effective tactics against Zephyrian technology so quickly. Danny endured hours of pain while refusing to reveal anything about sniper positions, ammunition sources, or resistance communication networks. The Zephyrians broadcast Danny's suffering on hijacked television networks, hoping to demoralize human resistance fighters. The images of a brave soldier being tortured by aliens had the opposite effect and inspired more people to take up arms against the invaders. Recruitment for sniper training programs increased dramatically as ordinary citizens decided they would rather die fighting than live as slaves. Nicole Brown established a new training facility in an abandoned mine outside Denver where she taught civilian hunters to modify their ammunition for anti-alien warfare. Her Olympic shooting experience proved invaluable for developing techniques that could work with common hunting rifles available to most Americans. Word spread through underground networks about her success in creating effective resistance fighters. Dr. Lisa Parker's analysis of captured Zephyrian equipment revealed additional vulnerabilities that could be exploited by human forces. The aliens' reliance on integrated technology made their systems susceptible to electromagnetic interference that could be generated by modified electronics. This discovery would prove crucial for future operations against alien strongholds. The Chicago mission marked a turning point in the war, even though it had cost the Resistance one of their best fighters. Ryan Brooks realized that conventional rescue operations were too dangerous against an enemy that adapted so quickly to human tactics. New strategies would be needed if humanity was going to survive the Zephyrian conquest and eventually drive the invaders from Earth. The rescue of Danny Rodriguez came at the worst possible moment when every military satellite showed Zephyrian forces massing for what appeared to be their final assault on Earth. Ryan Brooks studied the intelligence reports in the underground bunker that served as Resistance headquarters while making an impossible decision that would determine humanity's fate. The aliens were preparing to strip mine Earth's resources and transport its surviving population to slave worlds across their empire. Dr. Lisa Parker burst through the bunker's heavy steel doors, carrying a data pad filled with information that would change everything. Her face was flushed with excitement as she approached Ryan's planning table, where maps and tactical displays showed the hopeless military situation. "Ryan, I found it," she said breathlessly. "I found their weakness, and it's bigger than we ever imagined." The breakthrough had come from analyzing the quantum communication systems that Dr. Amanda Cole had observed during her captivity on the lunar base. Lisa's team had discovered that all Zephyrian technology relied on quantum entanglement networks that could be disrupted by specific electromagnetic pulse patterns. A successful attack on their command ship would cripple every alien device within the solar system. Ryan looked up from the tactical displays showing Zephyrian orbital positions. "How do we reach their command ship, Lisa?" "Our best pilot's estimate. It would take a suicide mission just to get close enough for a conventional attack." Lisa smiled grimly and activated her datapad's holographic projector. "We use their own technology against them. I've figured out how to modify a captured shuttle for the mission." The plan was audacious beyond belief and required perfect timing. From Resistance cells across the planet, while Ryan's team assaulted the lunar command base, sniper units would simultaneously eliminate every Zephyrian communication relay on Earth, preventing the aliens from calling for reinforcements. The margin for error was zero, and failure would mean humanity's complete extinction. Kate Wilson had spent 3 weeks recovering from injuries sustained during the Chicago disaster when she volunteered for the lunar mission despite her wounded shoulder. "You need someone who can make impossible shots under pressure, Ryan, and we both know I'm the best you have." Her determination reminded Ryan why he had recruited her in the first place. The modified Zephyrian shuttle sat in a hidden hangar beneath the ruins of Colorado Springs, where aerospace engineer Tony Kumar had spent sleepless weeks understanding alien technology. The craft's cloaking system would hide them during the approach, but once they began their assault, there would be no retreat. Tony had installed human weapon systems and modified the life support for extended operation. Susan Clark was the only pilot brave enough to attempt the lunar approach using a captured alien spacecraft. The former Air Force officer had studied Zephyrian flight patterns for months, learning their navigation protocols and communication procedures. She would have to fool alien air traffic control long enough to reach the command base before their true identity was discovered. The intelligence about the lunar facility had come from Danny Rodriguez during a daring rescue operation that cost the Resistance 12 good fighters. Danny had memorized the base layout during his torture and provided detailed information about guard positions, defensive systems, and the location of War Commander Thexrel's command center. His sacrifice made the mission possible. Dr. Amanda Cole had also been rescued from the lunar facility during a prisoner transport operation led by civilian hunters, who had learned sniper tactics from Nicole Brown's training program. Amanda's scientific knowledge of Zephyrian biology revealed that the aliens became increasingly aggressive when exposed to Earth's oxygen-rich atmosphere for extended periods. This information would prove crucial during close combat situations. The assault began exactly at midnight Earth time, when Resistance fighters around the globe opened fire on alien communication installations. Nicole Brown led a team of civilian snipers against the relay station outside Denver, while Carl Thompson coordinated attacks throughout Texas. Every shot had to count because there would be no second chances. Ryan's shuttle approached the lunar base using legitimate Zephyrian identification codes that Tony Kumar had extracted from captured equipment. Susan Clark's piloting skills kept them within normal traffic patterns while Kate Wilson prepared her weapons for the coming battle. The base grew larger in their viewports, revealing massive defensive installations and docking bays filled with alien warships. The deception lasted until they were within 50 meters of the main docking bay, when automated security systems detected human life signs aboard their shuttle. Alarms began wailing throughout the lunar facility while defensive turrets swiveled to target their small craft. Susan threw the shuttle into a desperate evasive pattern while Ryan and Kate returned fire through the open cargo bay. They crashed into the docking bay in a shower of sparks and twisted metal that left the shuttle a burning wreck. Ryan dragged Kate clear of the wreckage while alien soldiers poured into the bay from every entrance. The modified electromagnetic pulse weapons that Lisa had designed worked perfectly, disrupting Zephyrian shields and electronics within a 50-meter radius. War Commander Dexrol himself led the defense of the command center when he realized that humans had somehow reached his supposedly impregnable fortress. The 8-foot-tall alien moved with deadly grace through the corridors of his base while hunting the small team of humans who dared challenge Zephyrian supremacy. His personal weapons could punch holes through steel bulkheads. The running battle through the lunar base lasted for over an hour as Ryan's team fought their way toward the central command complex. Kate Wilson's shoulder wound reopened during the firefight, but she continued providing covering fire with deadly accuracy. Every shot had to eliminate an alien because their ammunition was limited and there was no resupply. The breakthrough came when they reached the main computer core where Dr. Lisa Parker's electromagnetic pulse device could interface with the quantum communication network. Ryan held off waves of Zephyrian soldiers while Kate worked frantically to connect the human equipment to alien systems. The base's automated defenses had been compromised, but backup power was bringing them back online. Susan Clark's voice crackled through their communication system from her position near the destroyed shuttle. Ryan, you have maybe 5 minutes before their reinforcements arrive from the outer system. Whatever you're going to do it now. The sound of energy weapons echoed through the corridors as more alien soldiers advanced on their position. Kate finished the connection just as War Commander Thex Rawl burst into the computer chamber with his personal guard unit. The alien commander's yellow eyes blazed with fury as he raised his weapon to eliminate the humans who had invaded his sanctuary. Ryan's shot took the alien leader center mass, but Dexrol's armor absorbed most of the impact, allowing him to return fire. The electromagnetic pulse activated at the moment when all seemed lost, sending cascading failures through every Zephyrian system within light years of Earth. Alien ships fell silent in space while their crews struggled to understand what had happened to their supposedly perfect technology. The quantum entanglement network that connected their empire had been severed at its source. War Commander Thexrol collapsed as his life support systems failed, leaving him gasping in the thin atmosphere of the lunar base. Ryan stood over the dying alien while emergency lights flickered throughout the facility. The Zephyrian invasion of Earth had been broken by 3 humans with modified weapons and the determination to fight against impossible odds. The silence that followed the electromagnetic pulse was unlike anything Ryan Brooks had ever experienced in combat. Every Zephyrian system on the lunar base had gone dark, leaving only the sound of failing life support and the labored breathing of War Commander Thexrol as he lay dying on the metal floor. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows through the command center while Kate Wilson checked their ammunition and prepared for whatever came next. War Commander Thexrol struggled to speak through his failing respiratory system as his yellow eyes dimmed with approaching death. "You have won nothing, humans," he gasped in his alien language that Ryan's translation device barely managed to convert. "The Empire spans thousands of worlds and commands fleets beyond your imagination. Earth will be remembered only as the planet that delayed our expansion by a few months." Ryan knelt beside the dying alien commander and looked directly into those fading yellow eyes. Maybe that's true, but today Earth stands free and your people know that humans will fight back. Sometimes that's enough to change everything. Next roll S. Final expression might have been surprise or respect before his breathing stopped completely. Susan. Clark's voice came through their communication system from somewhere near the destroyed shuttle. Ryan, the pulse worked better than we hoped. Every Zephyrian ship in the system just went dark and they're drifting without power. Our people on Earth are reporting similar effects with all alien ground forces shutting down simultaneously. The victory felt surreal after months of desperate fighting against seemingly impossible odds. Kate Wilson tested her wounded shoulder. While surveying the disabled alien technology that surrounded them, "What happens now, Ryan? We're stuck on the moon with no way home, and probably half the Zephyrian fleet will recover power eventually." Dr. Lisa Parker's voice joined their conversation through the communication link she had established with Earth's resistance network. The electromagnetic pulse created a cascade failure in their quantum entanglement systems, but it's not permanent. We estimate you have maybe 6 hours before their backup systems restore basic functions to their ships. The race against time began immediately as Ryan's team searched the lunar base for any technology that could help them return to Earth. Tony. Kumar's voice guided them through the abandoned alien corridors as he analyzed their findings from his position in the Colorado bunker. Most Zephyrian equipment remained dead, but some emergency systems were beginning to show signs of recovery. Susan Clark found a small Zephyrian courier ship in a secondary hangar that appeared to have been shielded from the worst effects of the electromagnetic pulse. The craft was designed for rapid travel between ships and bases, making it perfect for their escape attempt. She began working to understand its controls while Ryan and Kate gathered intelligence from the command center. The data they recovered from Zephyrian computers revealed the true scope of the alien empire, and its plans for Earth, hundreds of worlds, had been conquered and enslaved using the same tactics that failed on Earth. The Zephyrians viewed resistance as a minor inconvenience that could be overcome with superior firepower and technology. More importantly, the intelligence showed that news of Earth's successful defense was already spreading through alien communication networks to other enslaved species. Several worlds had begun their own resistance movements, inspired by humanity's example of fighting back against impossible odds. The Zephyrian Empire was facing revolts on multiple fronts for the first time in its history. The journey back to Earth took 4 hours in the captured courier ship with Susan Clark pushing the alien engines beyond their recommended limits. Ryan watched through the viewports as they passed the drifting hulks of Zephyrian warships that had been reduced to powerless metal shells. Occasionally they could see signs of life aboard the alien vessels, but none had restored enough power to pursue them. Kate Wilson used the time to treat her shoulder wound properly while monitoring Earth's communication networks for updates on the global situation. Resistance fighters around the world were reporting complete success in their attacks on alien installations. Every Zephyrian facility on the planet had gone silent, leaving human forces in control of their own world for the first time since the invasion began. The courier ship landed at Peterson Space Force Base, where Admiral Christine Hayes was waiting with medical teams and intelligence specialists. The base had been rebuilt using captured Zephyrian technology and now served as headquarters for Earth's defense forces. Admiral Hayes personally debriefed Ryan's team while technicians analyzed the alien data they had recovered. Dr. Amanda Cole met them at the landing pad, still wearing clothes she had been given after her rescue from Zephyrian captivity. Her scientific expertise would prove invaluable for understanding the alien technology that Earth had inherited from the failed invasion. The prospect of reverse engineering Zephyrian science offered hope for humanity's future expansion into space. Nicole Brown arrived from Denver, bringing news of the resistance fighters who had participated in the coordinated attacks. Civilian hunters and former military personnel had performed beyond all expectations during the crucial operations that severed alien communications. Many had paid with their lives, but their sacrifice had saved billions of people from slavery. Carl Thompson coordinated the cleanup operations in Texas, where several Zephyrian installations required careful handling due to dangerous alien technology. His experience with the invaders made him ideal for training new specialists who would secure and study the abandoned equipment. Every piece of alien technology represented decades of potential advancement for human science. Danny Rodriguez was recovering in a military hospital after his rescue from Zephyrian captivity, but his intelligence about alien operations had proven crucial for the mission's success. The information he provided under torture had been deliberately misleading, causing the aliens to position their defenses incorrectly. His sacrifice and courage had contributed directly to humanity's victory. 6 months after the electromagnetic pulse disabled the Zephyrian fleet, Earth had established itself as a major power in the local galactic region. The captured alien technology provided blueprints for advanced weapons faster than light travel, and defensive systems that would protect humanity from future threats. More importantly, Earth's reputation as the world that defeated the Zephyrians spread throughout alien space. Ryan Brooks established the Precision Warfare Academy at a facility built on the site where Europa Station once stood. The memorial honored those who died in the initial attack while training new generations of snipers who would defend human space. Students came from across Earth and eventually from other worlds, seeking to learn the tactics that had defeated a galactic empire. The Zephyrian Empire never recovered from the loss of their quantum communication network and the revolts that followed Earth's example. Within 5 years, most of their enslaved worlds had achieved independence, while others joined the growing alliance of free species that looked to humanity for leadership. Earth's victory had changed the balance of power across entire sectors of the galaxy. War Commander Thexrel had been wrong about one thing in his final moments. Earth was not remembered as the planet that delayed Zephyrian expansion. Instead, it became known as the world where ordinary people with hunting rifles had proven that no empire was invincible when faced with the determination to fight for freedom. The legend of the human snipers who saved their world spread across the stars, inspiring others to resist oppression wherever they found it.